So I've got Tyler Stinkin with me, and he's from Cole Realty Resource, and we're going to be talking today about 3 winning formulas to maximize prospecting from home. Now, this is really important, right? If there's one thing that we know can be done that can make you money right now in any market, that can help you get listings right now, regardless of how short the inventory is, we know that prospecting from home can work. And we know that when you implement the right strategies for prospecting at home and you have the right data for prospecting at home, you can increase the productivity of your time on the phone. So we've got Tyler with us. Before Tyler gets going, and I'm going to tell you what he's going to share with us today. He's going to talk about a step-by-step guide to dominating your community or farms through strategic outreach efforts. He's going to talk about micro marketing suggestions to acquire your dream client. And he's going to talk about leveraging basic technology to maximize response rates. So that said, before I introduce Tyler and he gets started, I want to remind you guys to please support Club Wealth by tagging people here that you think can can get value out of this information. Tag them here, comment here, share this post. We'd really appreciate it. And I also want to give a shout out to our sponsor, WiseHire, who has been a longtime partner of Club Wealth. They do a great job. We use them for our internal recruiting efforts. They do a ton of stuff for us. They help us get anywhere from 50 to 75 people per week, and sometimes as many as 100 per week to our group interviews. It's absolutely awesome, and it really makes a difference, and it helps us to recruit a lot of great talent. So if you haven't reached out to them already, go to clubwealth.com/wisehire. That's clubwealth.com/WIZEHIRE. All right, that being said, Tyler, talk to us about these winning formulas so that we can start maximizing our prospecting efforts from home.
100%, Michael. I appreciate the opportunity. And before we do that, I always like to just give a shout out to our inheritance, right? We've been around forever, Cole has, right? So the concept of reaching out to people, having conversations with people, that hasn't changed over the decades, right? Now, the way that you do it might be a little bit differently, but our company's been around for 70 years. So prior to technology, prior to the internet, right, we were known for these big blue crisscross directories, Michael, and I'm sure you've seen one of those in the past, right? So especially as agents got started years ago, their broker owner would say, hey, go call everybody up and down a street out of the Cole directory, right? So think it was a big phone book, or it was like a phone book. A phone book has everybody by last name. Our directories were by street name. So in Lincoln, Nebraska, where I live, or Seattle, or Dallas, you could buy one of these directories, find everybody up and down Patterson Street, and then start calling everybody up and down that street at 501, 502, 503 Patterson Street, give you their phone number, how long they lived there, if they owned versus rent, right? So invaluable information that nobody else used to have access to, right? So that concept hasn't changed, Michael, but today, the way that you reach out to people through their cell phone, that's changed, right? By their email, by able to send an email to somebody with a subject line of Edenton South subdivision that means something to them because they live in that neighborhood, right? So yeah, we're going to talk about some different ways to engage with your community, right, through a neighborhood that you want to dominate. We're going to talk about who's your ideal prospect and how you're going to go after them, and then leveraging technology to help make it happen. Okay.
Let me throw this in as you get started on this. I hope that everybody listening remembers that, if you want to be successful right now, if you want to get listings right now, and you don't have a lot of money to go out and buy leads or spend money on marketing and all this other stuff, the best way to do it is to pick up the freaking phone, right? It's really simple. Pick up the phone, start calling them. Now, there's lots of other ways you can do it as well, and we teach you guys all kinds of different ways. But I want you to remember that picking up the phone is free. And if you need money this month, if you need to get a listing on board this month so that you can make your payment on your house next month, there's no better way, no easier way, no cheaper way to do it than to pick up the freaking phone. Tyler, walk us through it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to go and share my screen real quickly as we're doing it as well. And I just want to bring up a case study of one of our clients that's been a customer of ours for years and years. Let me go do that here. Right now.
And while you're doing that, I got a question to ask you real quick. You had prepared a download for us as well that we put on our site. It's at clubwealth.com/Cole, C-O-L-E, clubwealth.com/COLE. Can you tell us what's in that download? What are we going to be able to get there for free?
Yeah. So when I talk about technology, I talk about how you can take a list of Cole. So for example, you could go in and say, hey, I want everybody who's above the age of 65 who lives in this zip code and owns their home, and get a list of 3,000 people. And we talk about calling that list, emailing that list. But one of the ways of technology is uploading that list into Facebook for a custom audience. And it's a simple way to get in front of people on Facebook, right? And so we have step-by-step instructions that walk clients how to do that. So even if you have your own list, it doesn't have to be a list that you bought from us. It could be a list of past clients, a database that you have, past leads. You could upload that into Facebook super easily and create an ad that targets those people specifically. So if they go to that landing page, Michael, that's what we'll do is we'll show everybody the steps on how to do that as well.
Love it. Thank you very much for that. All right, talk to us about this case study.
Absolutely. So Greg, I like talking about him quite a bit because he's been a client of ours for over a decade. And I've interviewed him multiple times over the years on how to engage with your local communities. And he actually teaches a class that when he mentors agents on how to become a community dominator. And I just like saying that. It's his term. It has kind of a cool little twang to it, right? And so he talks about, in order to dominate a community, the most important thing you need is to know who lives there and a way to contact them, right? Their phone numbers, their emails, a way to get in front of them. And so before even years ago when I talked to him, he would talk about how, okay, do some sort of community event and then invite all the neighbors to participate. All right. So maybe a barbecue in the park. And right now, maybe we can't do a barbecue in the park. So think of outside the box of different ways that you can engage with the community. Think local, maybe a food shelter that needs your support right now. Organizing a neighborhood cleanup, right? Let's clean up the subdivision. Hey, meet at the neighborhood park at 4 p.m. on Sunday, April 20th, and we'll supply the garbage bags, right? And let's go clean our community up together. Be the hero of that neighborhood, right? Because what we're talking about, all these things are a way for you to talk to people with a very high ROI. I'm not spending money on these leads, right? I'm just calling, having conversations with people. So what Greg will say is take a small subset of a neighborhood, right? So with Cole, what you're allowed to do is log in and maybe map out a neighborhood and get the 2,000 people that live in that subdivision, or create a list like I talked about earlier of, hey, everybody above the age of 65 in these 3 zip codes, whatever it is. But now call and email these people and let them know, hey, I'm local. I am down the street from you. I'm at 70th and Old Cheney. I'm not an e-agent halfway across the country, right? And I'm here to help you with any real estate needs you might have. However, the main reason I'm calling is I want to let you know that we're doing this event, right? And do something that's passionate for you, Michael. So think of if it's an animal shelter and you volunteer at an animal shelter, encourage people to go volunteer with you, or maybe organize a blood drive. Mm-hmm. And now you can say, hey, we're going to be at the XYZ church at 70th and Old Cheney from Saturday from 8 to 12. We'd love for you to stop by and donate blood. They're at record low levels right now. And we'll be there from 8 to 12. And then what it allows you to do is, you're not asking people for their business just right then, right? And so everybody kind of lets their guard down. And then, Michael, you can start having conversations with people. You can ask questions. Hey, Michael, where are you from originally? Oh, Gothenburg. That's a couple hours west of here. Do you have family back there still? Oh, have you ever thought about moving to be closer to your family? Michael, what do you love the most about your neighborhood? Is there anything that you don't love, that you don't like about it? And people start opening up. You'll hear things like, yeah, Tyler, we love the neighborhood, but you know what? A lot of our friends have moved away. The house across from us is actually a rental now. Yeah, we're maybe looking to downsize. Our last daughter graduated a few years ago. And guess what happened? You created your own lead, a lead that you didn't spend a lot of money on, right? It was just a lead that you created, that you're not competing with other agents at that point, right? And then you just nurture that lead as you go.
So while you're going here, I want to ask our audience, I just want to poll the audience real quick. How many of you do client events now? If you do client events currently, whether it's a community event or just a straight up client event, type into the Facebook group here, type into the comments in the Facebook feed, just the words client events. I'm curious how many of you are doing them, or if you're not doing them, type in no, not yet. I'm curious as to where our audience stands. Keep going. This is great stuff.
Yeah, but I just love these ideas is because if you've never done any cold calling before, it is a little scary, right? Yeah. And so, but this approach of inviting somebody to an event for a nonprofit, it's not nearly as scary, right? But it gets you the same approach as you're having a conversation with people, talking to them, right? I've heard clients of ours where, that they said in their neighborhood there was a local clothing store that sold men's suits, and guess what? During this time, they're struggling. That small business was. So then they partnered up with a nonprofit in the parking lot of that struggling business. Okay, so now you're supporting a local business, you're a local real estate agent, and you're supporting a local nonprofit all at the same time, right? You're the hero. People love that right now, right? We all have anxieties. It's a scary time. We don't know what the future is going to bring. So go out there and let people know that you're not going anywhere, right? You're here to help them through any sort of real estate needs they might have. However, let's support something for the greater cause.
I love that. That's so great. So much better than just calling people up and hitting them over the head with real estate, right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And by the way, I've got Gabe Hatch is watching right now, and he's saying that he's a Club Wealth coaching client.
Yeah.
And Gabe is saying that his first event is happening in June.
Right.
And Gabe, that's freaking awesome. I'm curious, Gabe, are you doing a charitable component to that? And if you're not, I'd love to encourage you to do a charitable component. But if you are, I'd be curious, what charity are you supporting with that? Or are you just have you not found a charity to support yet? But keep going. This is great stuff, Tyler. I mean, really, truly, I love that this really comes in under their marketing radar, and that's huge.
Exactly. And then you find a neighborhood that means something to you, Michael. And so obviously we know the concept of farming, right? But think about it. Is this a neighborhood that you have access to? Is it a neighborhood that your kids go to school in? Is it a neighborhood that you live in? Is it a neighborhood that your church is in, right? Something like that. A reason that you can be in that neighborhood, to get to know the people in that neighborhood. I've heard of agents that maybe they don't even live in that neighborhood, but they go take their dog, put them in their car, and then they'll go drive to that neighborhood and they'll walk their dog in that neighborhood as well, right? Because they're doing a community event. They're sending an email inviting them to this community event. They're doing all these things. This multi-channel marketing is what it comes down to, right? So you maybe they get an email from you, they get a call from you, they get a door knock from you, all these different layers, right? And then a new listing happens. Okay, let the neighbors know about that new listing, right? And then, maybe get the emails. You go into Cole, grab the 300 emails out of that neighborhood, and the subject line is new listing in Edenton South. And guess what? You get a really high open rate because people are like, oh, I live in Edenton South. Virtual open house on Sunday in Edenton South, right? Just different ways at a very hyper local area.
Well, and to your point, people, the more you can make it specific to them, the more likely people are to engage with your content, the more likely they are to open your emails, the more likely they are to respond to things. So really knowing your audience and being able to identify, and this comes down to having your CRM really dialed in. You got to have great data, right? And when you've got your CRM dialed in, you've got the right data, you know who people are, you know what neighborhood they live in, and you can get really, really specific on these things. Now you can speak directly to them.
100%.
Yeah.
So that's
huge.
number one, is how to dominate a neighborhood. But you kind of just talked about it right next. The next topic is, who's your ideal prospect?
Yeah.
Right. Who do you want to target? And I use the concept of a handyman, a jack of all trades, but a master of none. So I challenge everybody here to decide what audience do you want to master? Right. And so, for Lincoln, Nebraska, population 300,000, you can't be the preferred agent for the whole city. Right. So obviously you have your farms you want to work, you have your database you want to work, but then who? And so I encourage you to go there, decide. Maybe it's people, maybe you want to network with people that you go to a gym with, right? Maybe that's your micro marketing list that you want to go after, a small list. Or you could use a product like Cole, where you could go in and use demographics. So for example, I could say, I want everybody in this zip code who's been at their house for at least 10 years, because they're going to be more likely to be moving at that point. Maybe I want everybody within these 5 zip codes that have been at their house for 10 years, but above a certain age range. And now you're going to be the agent that works with empty nesters. That's your niche marketing. Okay. So I just challenge everybody to kind of decide, who do you want to go after, right? Maybe it's, you want to network with parents of your kid's school. Okay. Then go and maybe sponsor a PTO event, right? And get that database of all the parents in the school and go after those people. Okay. There's just all different ways to do that. But find something that you're passionate about, that you can learn a lot about, and go have conversations with them, right? So if it's about, yep.
Well, I was just going to say, Tyler, what you're really doing is you're creating a scenario where it's easy to have great connections with these people, right? Instead of trying to be something you're not, or trying to be this, something to everyone, right? Instead, what you're saying is, hey, look, if I want to think about who's my ideal client going to be, they're probably going to be kind of like me, right? They're probably going to be somebody that with whom I resonate and for whom I resonate, right?
Yep.
And so if I know what that avatar looks like and I can target that avatar, then when we do meet, it's congruent with who they hoped and expected I would be, which means I'm a lot more likely to do business with them.
100%. And on that note, it's funny. So Cole, one of the things that we provide are hobbies as well.
Wow.
So
I did
for
not know
example,
that.
you could go in and say, I want all the golfers in my area.
Really?
I want all of the dog owners in my area. Your lists are going to be way smaller, right? So if I found all the stamp collectors in my zip code, you might get one, right? But there's some things, maybe you own a motorcycle. And I've heard a lot of our clients, heard this multiple times. They've gone into our system and found all the motorcycle owners in their area, or all the Bentley owners, or all the Volkswagen owners, just to kind of help with that niche marketing, having meaningful conversations with those people. And if you drive up in a Bentley and they drive a Bentley as well, it just helps with that conversation, right?
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Right. So
I didn't know you guys had that. Does anybody else even have that? I'm not aware of anybody else that's offering hobby data.
I don't know that either, to be honest with you. That's one of our things. Yeah. So a hobby. So there's all these 250 different data attributes that we now offer. The last year, we've put a lot of that on steroids as well with some of the things that we offer. And so, yeah, I mean, you have your basics like home value, length of residence, the age of the person, but then you could go into a lot even more in depth, like hobbies, what vehicles they drive, even what language they speak, things like that, right? To really find people that you want to go after as well.
And then, so what are the ways to go after them at that point? So let's say now we've got the data. How do we actually go after them at that point?
Well, see, and that is point number 3, is leveraging data or leveraging technology to help make that happen, right? So I'm actually going to pull up this slide. So everybody has a phone. You can go and lock yourself in a room for an hour a day, 3 hours a day, and make phone calls and manually dial, Michael. And this is a form of technology, a cell phone.
Right.
And
right.
I've heard hundreds of agents over the years. I've been at Cole for 16 years that will say they don't even use barely any technology. They consider their cell phone a technology. They pick up the phone and dial and make 50 dials an hour and have a lot of meaningful conversations with people, right? Now, obviously, then there's dialers you can use. If you want to take it up a notch, there's dialers you can use. Send in an email. So send in an email with a subject line that talks about Edenton South subdivision that resonates for those people. That's a form of technology to go after people. There's also ringless voicemail systems out there. So there's like Sly Dial, and they have a feature called Sly Broadcast.
Yep.
Where in this example, a client of ours, he had buyers that wanted to live in a specific neighborhood. And they said, John, you can list our property, but we are not going to list it with you until you can find us a house in our dream neighborhood. We live on a busy street now. We are not settling this time around. So John went into our platform, grabbed around 1,000 people that live in a certain neighborhood that this family wanted to live in, had around 500 cell phones, a few hundred emails, and he dropped a voicemail using Sly Dials, a few pennies per delivered voicemail. And his message was this: hey there, my name is John. I'm a local real estate agent just down the street from you. I'm at 70th and Old Cheney. I wanted to give you a call because I have a great family that would love to live in your neighborhood. They currently live on Patterson Street right now. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with Patterson Street. It's a really busy street. And they have 2 young kids, and they're actually kind of scared for their kids to even play out in their front yard. They would love to live into your neighborhood, which is a quiet neighborhood, big trees. They have family that lives nearby. And maybe when their kids get a little bit older, they can walk to Maxey Elementary, the nearby elementary. Was wondering if you knew of anybody who might be looking to be moving soon. I'd love to bring my buyers to the property before it hits the MLS, right? Like, but a very to the point, non-confrontational voicemail. And he dropped that. And so this case study, John got multiple people that called him back and said, hey, yeah, we're thinking about it. We haven't done it yet. He'd even asked them directly, right? He asked if they knew anybody. And In this case, he actually sent an email with a subject line that said buyers looking in Edenton South subdivision, got about a 50% open rate. And ironically, a husband called him back. A wife replied to him, the same couple. They were ready to move into a retirement home, but hadn't pulled the trigger yet. John brought his buyers to the property. They loved it. And he got a pocket listing out of the deal. And then he was able to sell theirs as well, right? Because then he found them a house to live in.
Huge. So you got 3 transactions out of the 1 voice drop. What do you think that cost him to do that altogether?
I mean, so our product is very affordable, right?
Yeah.
I mean, for it's less than $100 a month when it's all said and done, depending on what plan you choose, right? And then it costs, I think, 2 pennies per delivered voicemail, something like that. 500 of them, so that was like $15, and that was it, right?
So he basically paid for that program for what, 10, 15 years?
Correct. You're 100%. And he even said he got multiple leads after the fact as well from people who said, you know what, we're not ready to pull the trigger yet, but maybe in 6 months we might, and obviously he followed up with those people, nurtured those people, right? Kept them into his database, still met them face to face to build that connection. Because the goal of everything here is that you guys are getting people to contact you first before they fill out a lead form, right? Because once somebody goes onto a lead form, they're then getting called by multiple agents, right? Because there's a good chance that homeowner just didn't fill out 1 lead form. They went to multiple lead sites, and now they're getting called by dozens of people.
Absolutely.
Right here, you're the preferred agent, right?
Yep.
Be likable, meet them, be valuable to these folks, right? And then there's another way that we didn't talk about, but what John then has done in the past is then upload these same lists into Facebook for custom audiences as well, right? And that's where that happens. So with Facebook, there's lots of rules with Facebook, and there's people that do this for a living, right? So again, I encourage everybody to go to our that landing page that we talked about.
Yeah, clubwealth.com/Cole, COLE. You can get the free download on that explains how to do this.
100%. Yes. Okay. If you do that, if you fill that out, that's what we'll send you as a tutorial on how to do this, right? But a lot of clients, let's say, go back to the idea of you want to focus on empty nesters, right? So there's sensitivity there that you can't advertise listings with Facebook. There's Fair Housing Act, things like that, right?
Right.
But with Facebook, what you could do, so again, if you grabbed a list of most likely empty nesters out of our system, upload it into Facebook, and now your ads are designated. Maybe you're interviewing a chiropractor, on a local chiropractor on stretches to do once you turn a certain age. Maybe you're interviewing a financial advisor on what to do when you're near retirement age, right? Maybe you're interviewing an independent living center on their monthly activities that they're doing, right? Those are things that you can do that aren't really real estate related, but brand you as a real estate expert, right? And then you're obviously calling the same list at the same time, emailing that same list. And that's how you're really leveraging technology.
Yeah, really what you're saying is, look, you need to touch these people in multiple different ways. It's like the couple that you talked about with John, he got the husband listened to the voice message, the wife got the email, and all of a sudden now, because they both had contact with him, he's now able to connect, get the listing appointment, sell that house to his buyer, and sell them a new house. So really, again, you guys, it's about multiple touch points, about going deep with each individual prospect rather than trying to just go wide and put it out there for the whole freaking world. We got to go deep. We got to do a better job of going deep with people because right now, especially, I feel like right now in the world of real estate marketing, everybody's going wide, right? There's very little follow-up. People think they're doing a good job of follow-up, but the reality is their follow-up isn't very good because their follow-up is not detailed. It's not specific. It's not consistent. And it's not in multiple different ways. They need to see you everywhere. And they need the message that they see when they see you to be specific to them.
100%. So those are my 3 winning formulas, Michael. And the most important thing though is taking action, doing something, right? Not sitting back, not waiting for referrals, not waiting for leads to come in, taking action, be proactive, get out there. Let these folks know that you are local, You are there to help them. You be known as the industry expert, come from contribution, and then the leads will follow with these approaches.
I love it. That's fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Tyler. I appreciate you sharing this with us today. And I noticed we've got some comments in the Facebook feed here. Dave Woodson says, I want all the Apple owners because they're the smart ones. Not sure I completely agree with that, Mr. Woodson, but I don't know. No, I'm just giving you a hard time. I'm an Android guy, but we love Dave. He's awesome. And in fact, Dave, I'll be seeing you at Listing Agent Bootcamp here coming up in just a few days. Actually, I think we're just over 30, 40 days now. Excellent. So yeah, pretty excited about that. In fact, if you guys haven't got your tickets for that yet, make sure that, I don't know how many are left, but I know that we're getting to the point where we're going to have to shut down registration because we have a limit on how many people we're allowed to have there. But go to www.clubwealth.com/LABC for Listing Agent Bootcamp. Now, again, it's clubwealth.com/Cole. Yep. And I'm going to type that in one more time. Actually, it's clubwealth.com/Cole. If you guys would like that download from Tyler, www.clubwealth.com/COLE, and he walks you through that system. I mean, what a great way, especially in a low inventory market, to get a hold of sellers. Hang on for the free download on how to do this. All right. And so what a great way. Oh man, I just totally typed that in wrong too. Hold on. I hit a wrong key on there. Anyway, I'll fix that. But the point is simply this, guys, that the opportunity is there. Hang on. The opportunity is there to be able to grab inventory and not have it cost you a lot of money. It's very affordable and it's very, very easy to implement the system. And it also, if you take those people and you use that to create your custom audience in Facebook, now you can market to them on Facebook as well. And I'm assuming that you're creating those custom audiences with cell phone and with email addresses, which both can be taken from Cole Realty Resource.
Correct. Yeah, no, and there's a way. I mean, if you follow our instructions, you can query and find people on Facebook custom audiences by name and or address and or phone and or email, right? So it's looking at so the way that you do it, and we have the step-by-step instructions to do it, right? But the biggest thing then is the follow-up, right? So if you're going to do that with Facebook, it's then also calling, it's also emailing, it's also door knocking, doing the events that we're talking about, and always coming from contribution. That's the biggest thing. So take action. That's what I got, Michael.
And speaking of coming from contribution, again, I really appreciate you being here with us. So if everybody have an awesome day. And again, if you got value out of this, type into your screen. I would just love you to just tag somebody in this post and just say, hey, this is something you might want to see. This is something of value. And definitely go get that download at clubwealth.com/Cole. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks, Tyler.
Thank you.